Oh my God. Sit. We have so much to do, so much to talk about and stuff. You're very kind. Oh my God.
Love you, man.
Love you as well. Very kind. No bullshit. One of the things I thought about on the table was just like, oh, fuck, man, I won't get to do that show at that place anymore. And here we are. So, yay. All right. Welcome to Fat Man on Batman. I'm Kevin Smith.
I am Marc Bernardin.
Hey! Big night tonight, ladies and gentlemen. My wife is in the house. Jennifer is here. Not because she want to be. She just wants to fucking watch me. Make sure that don't happen again and stuff.
I know. She's got me on mic.
Yeah, totally. She's
Move closer.
She's in very Nurse Jackie mode, and she's in a good way, not a druggy way. And she's been all over me, and so she's here tonight, which is really, really sweet. Yes. How are you? What have you been up to?
The highlight of my last week was I was in my food court.
Yeah.
I've told you about my food court, right?
Yeah.
They know me there by now, so I have to get a new food court. But I was, it must have been like last Wednesday or so.
Yes.
And I was sitting there writing, doing my fucking work, and some dude comes up the escalator, sees me working. He's like, "Hey, are you Marc Bernardin?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "I love the Black Panther Roundtable." It's like, "Oh man, thanks." He's like, "You know what? Tell Kev to keep his fucking chin up and get better. He's everybody's brother."
Oh.
And I was like, "You know what? Amen." That is literally all I've been up to. What have you been doing?
I don't know if you know this or not, but I had a little episode last week. I had a heart attack and survived it. This is the one I've talked about in so many other places, so I won't belabor the topic. But I will say this is the only place where I could really talk about this on Fat Man on Batman. Like, my whole life, I never had a supervillain. I have one now, the fucking Widowmaker, and I beat the Widowmaker, man. So that felt kind of metal. It feels great to be here, man. I love you. You guys all know I love doing the show. I love coming to the space and stuff. I love the Scum Villainy Cantina here on Hollywood Boulevard. Put your hands together so the folks at home know you're real. So it's, of course, it's nice to be above ground. It's nice to be anywhere, but it's really fucking nice to be doing something as trivial as talking about pop culture, like, in the bar. That's my kind of normal, and I'm happy to get back to it. I saw my cardiologist today. I have one of those now. I never had one of those.
Wow, you got a heart guy?
I do have a heart guy. He's like, you and I are going to become best friends. He told that to me while he was fucking going up my groin and catheterizing my heart. So Dr. Leidenheim, I went to see him today, and he took my blood pressure. Seems everything's going great. He showed me a model of my heart and what had happened and walked me through it and stuff like that. He came in with a prop. I was like, props! He was like, I knew you'd like that. And we went through it, and I'm in a really good place right now. He's like, now you know what to expect. Like, going forward, if you ever feel that again, fucking first you put a nitro tablet under your tongue, and in 5 minutes you still feel bad, do it again and fucking call me fast and shit. So the one thing I do want to just stress to others, because it seems to resonate, is that I was expecting, I was raised on pop culture and shit like that, so I expected a heart attack to be like Fred Sanford, like, Elizabeth, I'm coming, like very dramatic, and you're clutching at your chest and screaming and shit like that. I didn't realize I was having a heart attack because it did not feel what I assumed a heart attack would feel like. I wasn't really in pain. The whole time they kept going like, what's your pain number, man, 1 to 10? And I was like, 2? And they're like, 2? Put the morphine down, because they were getting ready because they thought his EKG shows that he's had a massive heart attack, but I wasn't really in pain. I know that's not the case for every heart attack, but shit, I didn't even realize it was going on. And now in retrospect, I had 2 episodes prior to this that were probably like warning signs at 85% and 95% blockage, where it finally busted through. I was 100% blockage that night, so nothing was going to get through that artery and stuff. So now I know what to look for. But for those of you out there who are, have heart conditions, or you're large like me and shit like that, and you're like, yeah, man, that fucking scares me. Number one, go get checked out. Like, we got pretty decent healthcare in this country and stuff. It's worth looking into because you could be saving your own life. But number two, if you ever feel like, this is what happened to me. I felt like I had caught a cold. I talked to some people after the show, And then I went into my green room and I was like, oh man, I feel like I just suddenly caught a cold. Like one of those motherfuckers I talked to had a dirty fucking bug and they just gave it to me, piece of shit. And so as I was ruminating about that, it started to spread and it wasn't a cold. Suddenly I was sweating, but I sweat when I fucking breathe, so that was nothing new. But this was profuse, like buckets and shit like that. I threw up. I didn't know that was associated with potential heart attack. Felt nauseous, threw up and shit like that. And ultimately there was no, they're like, did it feel like there was a car on your chest? No, not at all. I just couldn't catch a full breath. I'd be like, it's very shallow. I couldn't go up to the top and come back down again. So if you ever feel that kind of shit and you're like, oh, it can't be a heart attack, it is a fucking heart attack. Pay attention to it, listen to your body, but don't do like I did. Don't wait. Go get yourself fucking checked out and stuff. I've mentioned it online. This is not a ethical or spiritual choice, but by default, I've now become vegan. They've kind of taken the animal products out of my life. I'm not part of your cult. Not fucking happy about it, but I understand it will save my life and shit. And so lately I've been taking it, like justifying it by being like, hey man, for 47 years, I ate whatever the fuck I wanted. For the last 25 of that, particularly when I was my own person and shit, like from Clerks forward, I was like, I could do whatever I want now and shit. And I would just eat cake for fucking meals and shit like that.
I mean, there's eggs in it. There's milk in it.
Yeah, it's a full fucking diet.
It's the one good thing Bill Cosby ever gave us was listen, you guys, I made cake
Bro,
for
I
breakfast.
just lived through the Widowmaker. Don't bring up Bill fucking Cosby, man. Feeling good about life and shit. But yes, I ate whatever I wanted for years and then was just like, I'm at this place now where I'm like, fuck it. You did whatever you wanted. Now you had your fun. Now try it the other way. Fuck it for 5 years. I'm not even saying give me 47 years of being a fucking vegan or whatever. Just try it that way. So I was talking to this dude who I started working this program with, Penn Jillette of Penn and Teller. Adam Rifkin, the director, I'm friends with, he had emailed me after the heart attack and was like, hey, I know Penn Jillette, and he lost like 100 pounds after his heart thing. Do you want to talk to him? And I know Penn a little bit. He came over to the house years ago, did podcasts with us and stuff. And I've been a Penn and Teller fan for fucking ever, going way the fuck back. So I said, yeah, I'll talk to anybody at this point. Like, how'd you live? I just want to know and shit. So I got in touch with him, and the first thing he said was like, I got a guy, but the program's a little extreme. Have you ever read my book, Presto? He's like, buy my book, read it. And if you're still interested, we could talk about it and stuff. So I said, is it book on tape? And he said, yes, and I read it. And I said, that's perfect. So I got that, listened to the fucking book, and fell in love with this program. It reminded me of when I cut sugar out of my life and stuff. He's the kind of personality like me where he can just dial in if somebody's like, do this, and you're like, yes. And especially if you're seeing results, and he did and stuff. So I liked what was said so much. I was like, you know what, I'm ready to do this and stuff. So he hooked me up with the guy. His name is Ray. Penn calls him Cray Ray. And so I just met with Ray today about going forward and stuff with this program of his. Because I got to cut weight. That's part of it. The doctor was just like, you got to lose weight. And I was like, I know. I lost I lost 90 pounds like in the last 2-3 years. And they were like, keep going.
That's great.
Yeah. I was like, fuck, I thought like bronze is fine with me. But they're like, go for gold, motherfucker.
Would
Save
you
your
like a
life.
cookie? No. No cookies. Keep losing.
Totally. Fuck, where was I?
Cray Ray.
So I met with Cray Ray. I was just in Calabasas and met with him and stuff. And I told him, I was like, my philosophy of like, I fucking had my fun. And he goes, you're going about it all wrong. He's going, the fun's about to happen. I was like, all right, I know, the fun of vegetables and shit. But I mean, he had this really great point, which was like, I told him at one point, I was like, I hate vegetables. He goes, no, you don't. And I was like, yeah, bro, I do. And he goes, no, you don't. That's just a story you tell people. This is a story you tell yourself all the time. That way you don't have to eat vegetables and stuff. He goes, but did you ever really try any? And I gave it a thought, and I was like, I've never tried 99% of the vegetables in the world. So he's like, okay. So he's like, you know what salt and sugar and fat taste like? Fuck, I mean, we all love that and shit like that. He's going, but imagine the fucking shit you're going to taste now if you take that out of your life. There's a bunch of shit you've never eaten. By default, you just say you don't like it. So he's going, you got to flip the script. So I liked it. It's that kind of mind fuckery. I'm like, all right, you're tricking me. That's good. So I'm going to start that in earnest on Thursday. And not because I'm like, and tomorrow I'm going to eat some fucking bullshit. It's based on what happened to me. Like, I love I love my life of eating fucking, bless you, animal, products, animal-related products and shit. But it's time to shut it down. There's other ways to have a good time. And I also have to break my fucking romance with food. A lot of food for me is reward-based. So, even though to look at me, I look like a fat fuck, I spend most of my day not eating until it's like 8 o'clock at night. And then I'm like, I'm done now. I've earned the right to sit here and watch a program and eat food. And I will watch a 2-hour movie and feed the whole time. And you're not supposed to fucking do that. But that was like, hey, man, that's like what I like to do as an adult. And so when I told Ray today, I was like, I don't like vegetables. He goes, well, grow up. What are you, 5? And it was just that kind of realism. I'm like, you have my attention, sir. Keep slapping me across the face with a big fucking dick of logic.
And also, I don't wear pants.
Yes.
I pretty much am 5.
That's
I wear
true.
shorts and a baseball hat everywhere I go.
I dress like an infant. I fucking eat like an infant and shit like that.
Like the Peanuts gang.
Yeah, it's got to change. Speaking of Peanuts gang, look at my fucking New Jersey. It's me and Mark. And since I was done by Paul Quinn a long time ago as Charlie Brown, you were done as Franklin.
That is always it's never like, hey, we can make you like Idris Elba, but if Idris was a fucking Peanuts character. It's like,
But that'd be weird if I look like Charlie Brown and you look like Idris Elba. Shit. That's a lot of shoe leather on that joke that I had to explain. I was like, well, Mark always wanted to look like Idris Elba, I guess. And
because he's not an idiot, and maybe that would be great for him.
I thought he'd be happy he was on my jersey at all, but he wanted a better depiction.
I didn't approve that.
It's true. I'll be hearing from your people. All right, so yeah, I had a heart attack and I survived, and we're here now to talk about fucking pop culture. This is the thing I've been looking forward to since I got out the hospital. They canceled my Babylon last weekend and shit without asking me, and I was so pissed. Last one, the one they canceled last week. I was like, fuck, I wanted to do that show. They're like, you just died, bitch. So this is the one I was really hoping they didn't cancel it, and they didn't, and we're here to do it, man. So let's fucking get the show on the road.
Excellent!
What do we got to talk about, man?
Well,
one thing I can't wait to talk about. Can I lead with it? Because it's the top of my head.
I mean, don't ask.
One thing I read in the hospital, I said, this is a fucking thing worth living for. Kristen Wiig might play fucking Cheetah in the Wonder Woman movie?
Yes.
I didn't dream that in a drug narcolepsy of fucking like, I'm dying. That's a real thing?
Unless your dreams come true, my friend.
Fuck, that's a good idea, man.
Yeah.
Now, do you think they make her Cheetah like half... Is she Cheetah in an outfit, or is she Cheetah like, I'm fucking Island of Dr. Moreau?
I think it's Cheetah in an outfit. If I had to guess, like lots of leopard print. No, actually leopard DNA.
Will she have little ears and shit? Not just like, I don't want a leopard scarf. She got to wear the stupid fucking outfit, man. Otherwise, she's not Cheetah as far as I'm concerned.
Maybe they do it the way they did with Luke Cage, where it's just like, here's the one scene where you see him in the fucking disco yellow shirt and the headband and the chain link belt, and he looks himself in the mirror and says, "Sweet Christmas."
I'll buy that.
Yeah. So
I'll take the Luke Cage claws on that one.
Sweet
claws.
Christmas. Ooh, you haven't missed a beat, my friend.
That's not what the doctor said. Anyway, that's the one news story that I had that it was sitting in my back of my mind going, fuck, I want to see that.
Yeah.
That's why I clawed back from the land of the dead. I was like, fuck you, Widowmaker. Wig's going to play Cheetah. And my wife.
Good cover.
Thank you.
Yeah, well done. Yeah, and I the thing that I realized from that news story, I always thought, because we talked about it, was the Wonder Woman 2 was going to be the Cold War.
Yeah.
But I was imagining like 50s Cold War, like just after the post-war when like the wall is still up and shit like that. This is in the 80s.
That's where they're setting it?
Yeah.
Isn't that where Captain Marvel's set as well?
I think so, yeah. But there's a weirdness for me. Like the 80s, the fashion just fucks me up. Like that is not a thing I actually want to see on the big screen.
You don't ever want to see a piano tie again for the rest of your life?
Yeah. Somebody with a random keytar is not what I'm looking for.
They did that in that one X-Men movie. They went to the 80s and stuff.
Yeah, Apocalypse, which I choose to never acknowledge as an X-Men movie.
Yes. All right. Well, what do you think? What's the story, if you had to guess? If it takes place in the 80s, what is that? Nuclear war, Russia?
I think so. I think it's like, the arms race, it's proliferation, it's glass
Why not
notes.
set it right now? That was the end of my political humor for the evening.
Talk about the hard stuff. Yeah, I mean, it could be that whole thing. It could be, I don't fucking know, Minutemen, missile crises, and that kind of shit. Like, I don't know. There's a story there for sure. I'm just not quite as excited as I was about like awesome 60s suits and pre-James Bond intrigue and, shuttling back and forth across the Berlin Wall. Like that shit all sounded fun.
Is it Patty Jenkins?
Yep.
I'm on board. They can do whatever they want. If they're like, she's going to sit there and fucking read for 2 hours, and be like, right on, as long as the lasso's in view, I'm good. All right, where are we going? What do you got the rest of the news?
Did you watch the Oscars over the weekend?
I watched the last hour, not because I'm like too good for that shit. I totally would have watched it, but Scott Mosier, who has not been in town for like a good year, he's been over in France working for Illumination, the cartoon people, was in town. And he came over and we smodcast and shit, and I hadn't seen him since the heart attack. I hadn't seen him in fucking a long time. So we were doing that, and that wound up going late into the night. And then I came back to the bedroom when he left, and Jennifer was still watching. It was like an hour left. So I saw the good shit.
Right. The thing that astonishes me about this year's Oscars was that a giant fucking monster movie won Best Picture. Like,
yeah,
flat out. Like that is not a.
If that doesn't get Creature from the Black Lagoon fucking greenlit, I don't know what does, man.
But it's not even like it's a metaphorical monster who's in love. No, it's a fucking fish dude.
Yeah. Who, spoilers, she fucks.
Yeah.
So it's got that going for it as well.
Ichtho-bestiality.
You called it first. I believe you said it was your favorite movie of the year. And I was like, what? Really?
Bullshit!
And then I saw it and I was like, I fucking love it. It is a beautiful, it's everything cinema should be. And he's like a darling fucking man who like, cinema runs in his fucking blood. Like he deserved, there was no moment, man, where I was like, him? I'm like, I get it. This guy fucking deserves it and shit like that. I know somewhere in Trump's America, people are like, that's the third Mexican that stole an Oscar from an American. But like, hey man, like this kid's imagination, he's older than me. His fucking imagination is beautiful. Like every time he steps up to bat, he fucking really swings for it. And this time it connected with the audience in an emotional way. I was happy for him. Very happy for him.
But the fact that that's a Best Picture winner is phenomenal. Like,
and the best screenplay winner is Get Out, a genre film. Two genre films.
Yeah. I was pulling for some kind of split between Get Out and Shape of Water for picture and director. But I feel like screenplay is actually the right thing for Get Out because like that it is such a. The work of that movie is on the page. The work of that movie is, let me tell you a fable. Let me tell you a story about race and class and gender and assimilation and all of that shit while fucking with your brain because it's a really taut thriller.
You know what? A long time ago, I agree with you, but I'm going to add something to it. And it's going to go back and try to correct some history. A long time ago, in a book that my friend wrote, John Pearson, he wrote a book called Spike, Mike, Slackers, and Dykes. I had this discussion as a young filmmaker at the fucking first year of my career where I was like, I think of Quentin Tarantino more as a writer than a director. He's an amazing writer. He's a fine director. He's an amazing fucking writer. And years later, we had a comic book store in Westwood, a Jay and Silent Bob's Secret Stash. And I wasn't there, so kids ran it and shit. One night, somebody running it, Quentin came in. He was eating at the place next door, and he goes, is this Kevin Smith's place? And she said, yeah, totally. And he's like, is that book? Because we had on display old copies of Spike, Mike, Slackers, and Dykes. And he picked up that book and he goes, do you know he once said that I wasn't as good a director as I was a writer in this fucking book? And the person who's working the fucking front counter was like, yeah, he's an idiot. We don't respect him at all. So, I agree with you that now this is a long way of saying years later I realized what a ridiculous fucking statement that is. He's a brilliant fucking director, brilliant filmmaker. He's also a brilliant fucking writer and stuff. But back in those days I was a writer snob. A writer was the most important thing to me. You're right. That script is fucking brilliant, and he does deserve to win for screenplay. But he had a credible shot as director because that movie has nuance. It has signature. It has a style to it. It's memorable. There's a lot of symmetry in the shots. Like, that's not the work of somebody who's just like, oh, I got lucky. Like, he's clearly got the gift, way more than fucking I do. So much so, it's a visually stunning, arresting movie. Like, when he drops, what's that area called? The
Sunken Place.
The Sunken Place?
Yeah.
That's fucking crimson. That's a horrible, fucking mesmerizing visual that has to come from some place to communicate to the audience. I never could have thought of something like that.
Yeah, and that's also a dude who like trained himself in Key and Peele. Every skit in Key and Peele was a movie. And while Peter Atencio was the director who did almost everything on Key and Peele, fucking Key and Peele were there the whole fucking time. And Peele clearly was the dude who wanted to do this himself.
He said it when he accepted. He's like, there were 20 times I tried to start this movie and put it down because I was like, it'll never happen and shit. So don't stop. Take it to its logical conclusion. Don't hurt anybody in the process, but like, you know, fucking everybody's dream is valid and shit. And his panned out in a big bad way.
Yeah. The one time I've been a journalist on and off for about 25 years. And the one exclusive I ever fucking broke, because I was never that dude. I never cared about news other than making the news look good and read well.
Right.
The one exclusive I ever got was I got invited to Samsung was having some event in the Hollywood Hills. It was like college basketball or football, whatever the hell it was. Mm-hmm. And I was going to interview Jordan to do some quick, like, rote Q&A that we used to have on Playboy.com. It was like Lucky 7. And there were 7 questions that we asked everybody. And we get to the end of the interview. It's like, oh, fucking Jordan Peele's here. Great, I'll talk to Jordan about it. And we get to the end of the interview. He goes, all right, listen, I'm going to give you some news. My manager's not going to want to tell you this, but I'm writing a horror movie. This is like 4 years ago. He's like, I'm like, what's it called? He's like, it's Get Out. I'm like, oh, fuck, like that Eddie Murphy sketch?
That's what I thought, yeah. I remember when I saw the poster, I was just like, oh my God, it's the Eddie Murphy sketch.
Oh, baby, this house is real awesome. We're gonna have so much fun in here. The kids are going to be happy. Get out. It's time to go.
Wow, man. So he told you.
He told me.
You broke the story?
I broke the story. The one exclusive, Playboy at the time. The one exclusive I've ever had was Jordan Peele was writing and directing a horror movie.
It's a great one to have in retrospect, isn't it?
That fucker won an Oscar. So, hey, I did that.
I didn't know that's what we were getting to. Well done,
man.
Yeah,
no, you're welcome, everybody.
What else? Did anything else genre-oriented win or anything of note that would matter in our world? God bless you.
No, but here's the one thing, the snub, if that's such a thing, I'm the most pissed off about, is that War of the Planet of the Apes, none of those Planet of the Apes movies have ever won a special effects Oscar.
Okay.
And what the fuck? Like, the whole movie is talking monkeys and orangutans and chimpanzees. I don't want to be like an apist, so I will absolutely
fucking apist
acknowledge every tribe of the simian kingdom. But none of them, given the fact that every major character, every major performance is done by a dude in dots on his face,
yes,
rendered by computer, that doesn't win Best Special Effects is beyond me.
What did? Blade Runner?
Which, I mean,
a lot of it. That had a lot of effects.
It's beautiful, but
I mean, I can see your argument. Yeah, I forget.
Like, what do you have to do?
Also, I was going to say I forget who I voted for, but I don't know if I'm allowed to say what I voted for. They get kind of shitty and weird, like if you reveal your picks and stuff.
I mean,
I was close this year when I looked at the end results. I was like, oh shit, I voted for a lot of that. I didn't. I loved Allison Janney and I, Tonya, but I'm an old school Roseanne fan, and I loved.
Laurie Metcalf.
Thank you. Laurie Metcalf in Lady Bird. Mm-hmm. Lady Bird was transcendent filmmaking. There was I was glad Greta Gerwig got nominated. That was a wonderful film. To make me give a fuck about life in Sacramento back then, and that performance was wonderful. It was a fantastic movie. I loved that. I loved Shape of Water, of course. Mm-hmm. Here's a flick I saw since we did a show. Did you see fucking Florida Project?
No.
Dude,
beautiful?
Yes. Oh my God, it's so fucking human. It's so beautiful, and it's got one of the most magical and tragic endings I've ever seen in a fucking motion picture. It's haunting, beautiful. But this guy he's the same guy that directed Tangerine, the iPhone movie.
Mm-hmm. Sean Baker, is that his name?
Is that his name?
Sure, we'll say it's his name.
He got
He's not
performances out of these fucking kids it's otherworldly. The best child performance on film I've ever seen since The Bad News Bears 1976. Those kids were believable and shit. These kids in this movie are fucking. I don't think they were actually working with the script. I think he just put cameras on him and he would say things to him and he would just fucking get that and build around. It's wonderful. I don't want to spoil the movie for you, but it's about people you never think of.
Wow.
So, and that's, in indie film, that's what I look for the most. In mainstream movies, it's like, show me Iron Man stories. But when it comes to indie film, show me something, show me a snapshot into a world I've never seen, because that's how I got my start. The only reason anyone knows my fucking name is because I showed a snapshot into some weird little world that people hadn't seen before. So I love that discovery. This movie was absolute fucking discovery for me. It's so fucking good. I was a little bummed that didn't get, Willem Dafoe got nominated.
That was it.
And that was about it. What else?
Can I make a prediction for next year's Oscars?
Yes.
Black Panther will win 2 Oscars.
Okay.
I am not going to say which, but I am going to take bets right now. 100%. 100% lock.
Why?
That movie wins 2 best. That movie
They got to
wins 2
remember,
Oscars.
like a year from now.
Oh, they will. Because you know how much money this movie's made already?
Tell us.
$905 million worldwide.
Oh, my Lord.
In 16
So the
days.
answer was all of the monies.
Yes.
Wakanda forever, heavens.
And ever and ever
And
and ever.
So they're easily going to hit $1 billion.
They're going to hit $1 billion by like next Thursday.
And how many other characters in their stable have done that? Like Ant-Man didn't get to $1 billion.
No, it is the highest grossing, aside from Iron Man. Iron Man is the only other solo character.
The first
that
one
is-
went to $1 billion?
No, Iron Man 3 went to $1 billion.
Right. Wow, so not since Iron Man 3 has a standalone movie gone to $1 billion for them?
Yeah.
It's taken Avengers to do it.
Yeah.
And now
And Civil
Black
War.
Panther. And Civil War. Did that go to $1 billion?
Yeah.
So they had everybody, they had every hero and stuff. Wow, that's huge, bragging rights and stuff.
Yeah.
I wonder if we'll get a sequel.
Well, I mean, you heard that I'm not sure if you were convalescing at the moment, but Marvel pushed up the release date for Avengers Infinity War by
I did.
a week.
Yet another reason to stay alive. I was like, another week earlier, fantastic. Yeah.
I can do this.
What now? Why is that? I'm not looking a gift horse in the mouth. That's awesome, but why? What do you think?
The way that it was working was it was opening May 5th for us, but it was opening April 27th internationally. Mm-hmm. And so my gut is they kill somebody fucking huge and didn't want that information to slip out from Paris.
Now, that makes sense. Now, my next question is, do you really mean to tell me they only thought of that like 2 weeks ago? They're like, after all that careful planning, they're like, oh shit, we forgot. Like, this smells like marketing of the highest order.
Yeah.
Like, let's stagger these dates because then, like, the last month before the movie comes out, we'll put them together and we'll look metal as fuck. Like, and great plan. And like,
Totally.
I enjoy a bit of showmanship and shit like that, but there's no way that they only just realized recently, like, oh, fuck, this is stupid. We should have it come out day and date all over the world.
Yeah. Except they didn't tell anybody else. And so Amy Schumer had a movie opening on April 27th. Her I Feel Pretty movie. And she was like, what the fuck? We had the date to ourselves. This was ours. We were going to roll. It'd be amazing. And then...
Now you're counter-programming.
Yeah, now they're on April 20th because they were like,
They
fuck.
moved another week up.
They moved. They did not want to play chicken.
Rampage moved as well?
Oh,
shit.
Everything is shifling. Shifling is a word, right?
No.
In Dublin, maybe?
Yeah, maybe.
Instead of shifling.
Shifling.
I don't fucking know.
So everything's moving a little bit.
Everything is moving a little
Well,
bit.
that's great. We get to see our favorite heroes a week earlier and shit like that. And we don't have to hear from some fucking Frenchman what happens to Tony Stark.
Oh, did you see what happened?
We'll see with our own American eyes.
Le Chat Noir, he is le mort.
Le Chat Noir. Did you see Mark's shirt? It's pretty genius, man.
I got a Chat Noir shirt.
Chala is the Chat Noir.
Not really.
Don't
but thank you, though.
sexualize Mark.
I mean...
All right, go ahead. Sexualize
Yes,
Mark.
do it. But do it slowly. Do small. Chili.
What's next in the news department?
Chris Hemsworth. You know, he's attractive, I hear.
I would fuck that dude a whole Hemsworth. Let's be honest, I'd let him fuck me. Yeah, he's pretty amazing looking dude.
Is that the other thing you're going to do different this second go round?
Yeah.
Like, you
now
know
that
what?
I survived the Widowmaker,
it.
I'm going to tell you all the Hollywood studs I'm going to fuck before I die.
No meat except that meat.
Yeah, like a plant-based diet unless it's cock.
Yeah, so... given-
My vegan daughter would probably sign off on that. She's like, it's fine, Dad, as long as
It's
it's
okay.
not animal product.
Robot cock?
All right, so wait. What about
Chris Hemsworth.
Yes.
Clearly this man does not want to leave a franchise behind. Is going to be one of the Men in Black.
Oh.
Yes,
Oh.
Sony is rebooting Men in Black.
That's a fucking good idea, man.
Yeah.
He's funny. He's legit funny.
He's legit funny. Funnier than he should be, given that he looks the way he looks.
I know. He's problematically pretty, but very funny at the
I
same
know.
time.
Like, that was supposed to be our thing.
I know. It's like, you get to be pretty, we get to be witty. He's like, no, I get them both. Good for him. That makes sense. So wait, does it tie into K&J or?
I think it will, but not in a we're ever going to see Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith in black suits again. But I feel like it's in the universe, it's in continuity, but he is just one of the new guys.
I'm okay with that. You don't have to fucking like undo it and be like, no, it's brand new. Like I'd like it more if it was connected, and they don't have to bring those characters back if they don't want to and shit. But as long as there's some pictures hanging up and they're like, hey, there was a guy.
Right.
I'm cool with that. Set it in the same world. Don't reboot. That's smart.
Yeah. So he's going to be the white one. And and they are...
Do you think they go reverse order this time? It was the old white guy, younger black guy. Maybe this time it's younger white guy, older black guy?
They're going black woman.
Oh, they beat me in
Yes.
my own race. The
Look
fucking
at that.
racist and sexist game. Holy shit.
We call and raise.
Wow, man, that's smart.
Yeah.
Who would it be?
My gut, they haven't announced anything yet. I feel like Tiffany Haddish is on the head of just about every list.
Oh, my God, that's so fucking
everything?
smart. I want to see the movie that doesn't exist that you just cast. That's a really great idea. That's fucking smart. She's funny. Legit funny.
You know, and I think that Hemsworth, for as funny as it is, he's also a really good straight man.
Yes.
You know, because for much of Ragnarok, he's the straight man.
Yeah.
You know,
But he still gets to pull off
he still gets to pull off a couple of jokes, but he is not Mr. Punchline, which is fine. And fucking Tiffany Haddish is on fire.
I like that. It's got my approval. I'd watch that movie. It's a good
Yeah.
concept. It could keep going.
Totally. So when is this out? June 14th, 2019.
Oh, I'll be dead by then. No, I'm here, man. I'm here to stay. I'll be here, but you can't get rid of me that easy. I'll be giving you my worthless opinion when that movie comes out. Right from this space, goddammit.
Hell yeah.
Even if the bar's closed.
Anybody out there?
Yeah.
No?
There used to be a Star Wars bar here. Where are we going next?
Were you a Sandman fan?
Were I still am.
You still are?
Yeah, of course. You don't lose your fandom for that shit. You don't outgrow Dream and the Dreaming. I thought I nearly met his sister, Death.
And now you're in delirium.
Yeah, truly.
Neil Gaiman is rebooting is the wrong word. He's continuing the Sandman universe. He is franchising it the same way that Gerard Way franchised Young Animal.
Yeah.
He has got his own Sandman imprint at Vertigo.
So he's going to oversee a bunch of Sandman-related titles.
Yes.
That's so smart. He has his own IP that he created, an entire universe.
Totally.
Keep it going, make it
going.
cinematic.
And so, yeah, it's launching in August with the Sandman Universe #1 with Gaiman will plot. And then there's 4 other books. There's The Dreaming, Tim Hunter and the Books of Magic, and then Lucifer. They're doing another Lucifer book.
Wow, man. Fucking the late 80s, early 90s are back. Thank Christ, man. That's awesome. Good for him. So smart. He's been very prolific lately. He finally got Good Omens made, and it looks like he's been deeply involved in that production as well. American Gods last year. They're going on to another season. He's on fire, man. He deserves it. So fucking talented, that guy. And sweet heart of a man.
He's the nicest guy in the world.
So fucking nice.
I remember the first time I met him, because I've met him like a dozen times because that's how I roll. But he told me that
Zip Gaiman. You just whipped out your Gaiman dick, man.
I did.
Yeah.
He told me that Sandman was the first sexually transmitted comic book. In that the way it would work was that dudes would buy it, their girlfriends would read it, their girlfriends would break up with those dudes because they're awful, and then bring the same books to another dude. And then that dude would read it, break up with the girl, and it would be this diaspora of Sandman fans because they were all fucking each other.
Wow, man. That's interesting. I mean, look, who would know except him, right?
Yeah.
He probably meets fandom, and they probably tell him over and over again, like, I fucked someone and read your book, and then I stopped fucking them, and now I'm fucking someone else, and they love your book. So I bet you it's based on empirical evidence.
Yeah. I was at the DC booth one year at Comic-Con, and he was signing there, and I was way down the fucking aisle signing my own little dumb shit comic book. And I saw somebody come up to him and ask for an autograph. He's like, "No, of course, I'm happy to do it." And, signs on her arm. Half an hour later, she comes back with a tattoo of the signature that he just drew on her arm. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a level of fame I do not understand.
Yeah, I never will. I've met a few people who were like, sign my arm, I'm going to get a tattoo. And I was like, rethink your choices. Like, one day, and hopefully it's not soon, but I assure you, one day you're going to wake up and be like, I don't even like these movies. And you're going to look at your arm and realize my fucking name is on it. Don't do it. But I've met many people who've done it. It's very flattering and stuff. Wait, go back, though.
Yeah.
What were we talking about before the tattoo?
Sandman.
Sandman. Gaiman did a voice in Jay's cartoon movie. Jay made a cartoon movie years ago called Jay and Silent Bob's Super Groovy Cartoon Movie. And he was the voice of Albert the Butler. And he was so lovely. He came in and did like complete, like just performance for us and stuff. And, you know, we've been friends for a while, but he was like, nobody ever asked me to act. And he's so fucking good. So if you ever want to hear Neil Gaiman making butt fucking jokes, watch Jay and Silent Bob's Super Groovy Cartoon Movie.
I am also in that movie.
That's right, man. You got a voice there as well. See, so you were down the fucking hall from him for the signing, but you were shoulder to shoulder in the movie.
We really were. Yeah, I was the mayor of Red Bank, I think.
That's right. Oh my God, I forgot. That movie was fun. All right, where are we going next?
We got one
good for Neil Gaiman though. That's a good fucking idea. I mean, think about it. You can turn that. Fuck movies. They've been trying to turn Sandman into a movie for damn near 25 years now.
Yeah.
Always fucking coming up short. That's because you don't need it to be a movie. Episodic TV now. You give them 10 fucking episodes, 20 episodes even. Those storylines were deep and rich and mythic. Like, I would love that. I would love before I leave this world to see a Sandman series.
Are we going to have to make a list of the shit you want to see before you leave this
Yes.
world?
It's all a ploy to stay
all right,
here.
listen, it's page 73 of the shit Kev wants to see in this world.
Problem is one day they're going to make it all because it's a content-hungry world. And then they're going to be like, now what? And I'm going to be like, now it's time to die. Where are we going next? Look, we'll all want to die at that point, I assure you, because we'll all be old.
And then we push the cross over to it's an X on top of your grave. Just, meh.
Wow, too soon. Make my wife cry.
No, she's left by now.
She's like, fuck this. All right, where are we going next?
Last story.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's fast.
I mean, we had other shit to talk about.
That's true.
I mean, Keanu Reeves is making a superhero movie.
That sounds
right?
A little general.
What?
What do you mean making? Being in?
He is going to star, allegedly, in a film that will be directed by Rick Famuyiwa. Do you remember Rick Famuyiwa?
Yeah.
Who did Dope and almost did The Flash.
Yeah.
And then ran screaming from The Flash.
Yeah.
And nobody yet has run up to The Flash to make a Flash.
Did they say what this generic superhero movie is?
Details of the plot are being kept under wraps, says the news report from The Hollywood Reporter, but it's being described as a new type of vigilante superhero story. Blah. So like John Wick in a cape, I'm hoping. If it's that, then I
mean, John Wick is a new kind of superhero story right then and there.
Yep.
I don't know. I mean, look, I'm all for it. Everyone should make whatever they want to make, but that's a crowded game right now, making a superhero anything. And if you're not entering that game with IP that people already know, you're kind of working uphill, no? Yeah, I'm not discouraging anybody. Like, new ideas are needed all the time. But right now, we're in this golden age of, like, every hero you grew up with is now represented on screen. I would not want to be taking a comic book movie to marketplace these days unless I contain one of the big two characters from the big two.
Except that it's Netflix, which is swallowing content like a whale and krill.
Yeah.
That's a Finding Nemo joke for you guys, in case you're not rolling with the deep cut kids movies. They are making 700 new TV shows next year. They are making or acquiring between 80 and 100 new movies.
None of them ours. Fuck.
I would
a lot of numbers. You can imagine they could throw us a bone, but
like, what do you guys want to do? What do you guys want to do? Anything. Fuck it. We're doing a Keanu Reeves vigilante movie. A superhero that nobody's ever heard of.
Is that where they're doing it? Netflix?
Yeah.
They got all the content.
All the money.
Saw the Jessica Jones billboards go up. So that must be coming back very soon. Did you?
The Luke Cage teaser dropped today.
Did it?
It did.
And?
Season 2 is June 22nd.
Oh shit!
Yes.
Very, very soon. Luke Cage season 1 was amazing.
Yeah.
So I look forward to season 2.
The 22 seconds they showed looked amazing.
That's all they have to give us, just a taste. So wait, what is coming up now? We're in March, so the next superhero movie is what?
Next one is Avengers. Yeah.
Avengers, and then what? There's a Star Wars movie, right? Solo. And then what's the other one? Ant-Man and the Wasp.
And then Deadpool 2.
And Deadpool 2. Fuck.
Incredibles 2.
What a time to be alive.
Yes, it is.
It really is.
Every time is a time to be alive, Kevin.
So much to look forward to. Yeah, good point. So much to look forward to. All right, that's all the news we got?
That's all the news. I went to the movies, though.
What?
I did. I went to go see Red Sparrow.
Oh, fuck. Is it movie review time?
It can be if you'd like it to be.
Ladies and gentlemen, grab your socks and hose and pole. Marc Bernardin's going to review a movie. Do tell. Is it Black Widow the movie?
If that is Black Widow the movie, then we are very sad about Black Widow the movie.
Oh.
Because there's not a lot of Black Widowing. There's not a lot of punching. There's a lot of, like, I am a whore because I went to whore college school movie.
That's a thing?
In Russia, everything is a thing. In Russia, school whores you.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, she plays a prima ballerina in the Bolshoi Ballet who gets not quite so accidentally snapped in her knee. Strike that, reverse it. And given that she's no longer of use to the state, her uncle is a high-ranking member of the SVR, which is like the KGB's better-looking uncle, and says, "Hey, wouldn't you like to be a whore?"
As you do.
As you do. He says it nicer than that, but he's like, "Come to this academy that we have in the middle of in the snowy nowhere, where we will teach you how to use your feminine and handsome wiles to seduce people and get secrets out of them, and then bring that secret shit back to the state." The state being Russia, because, you know, that's how that goes.
Right.
And so she turns out she's like the worst seducer of people in this movie.
Jennifer Lawrence?
Yeah.
That's really acting, because she's... All they ever say about her in the news is she's so fucking charming.
Yeah,
oh, my God, she's charming. She farts and it's cute.
Yeah.
They love her. She could do no fucking wrong.
No, except for actually seduce anybody in this movie.
Really?
Which she never tries to do. I guess because if you look like that, you don't have to. But yeah, it's this weird, like, kind of Cold War-ish movie that doesn't have any real thrills to it. It has it feels like it wants to be No Way Out. Do you remember that movie?
Yes! Fuck, I love that movie with Kevin Costner and Sean Young.
Yes,
and Gene Hackman.
That
what a
movie's
great
amazing.
fucking movie that was.
That movie's amazing. And it builds to this point where, if you've never seen it, spoilers, awesome shit happens. More spoilers, Kevin Costner's a Russian. Sorry, I spoiled it.
That's a deep fucking spoiler. Yeah.
But I kept on thinking while I'm sitting through Red Sparrow, I wish this was Atomic Blonde, which I also didn't love, because Atomic Blonde was
watched that. It was totally watchable. Bless you.
Yeah, it's watchable, but
visually engaging.
Yeah, but like one step too clever for its own good. Where it's like, oh no, you think you're a better movie than this. I just want to see Charlene just punch people in the face a lot.
Could you imagine the poor filmmaker was? I did think it was more clever than that, Marc Bernardin.
Look at my color theory. I know, but what's happening? So yeah, I mean, it was not a bad time at the movies, and if you've ever wanted to see Jennifer Lawrence naked, you'll see her naked a lot in this movie.
What? That happens in that movie?
It happens. I think it was all of my naked pictures leaked on the internet, so why not? So, I'm just saying.
I'm not a big Lawrence. I like her and stuff, but I'm not like, I gotta go fucking see it right away. She is a wonderful actress, but she doesn't wind up doing a lot of stuff that I'm necessarily. It doesn't cross my Venn diagram. I wasn't a hunger person. Obviously, hunger is not a game to me. So those movies didn't appeal to me at all.
It didn't appeal to you.
But I recognize, like, she got full blown talent. She's crazy talented actress. But that movie never really called to me.
Yeah, I went because I was hoping it was Black Widow, and if we do get a Black Widow movie, at least we know it'll be more fun than Red Sparrow was.
Who's the guy in the movie?
Joel Edgerton.
Oh, he's good. Did you ever see The Gift?
I never did see The Gift.
He wrote it and he's in it. I don't know if he directed it. He might have done that too. But fuck, that's a good movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not as up there as No Way Out, but it's got twists and turns.
That's awesome.
Well thought out. There it is, fucking Red Sparrow.
You know what else I saw?
What?
Black Panther for the 4th time, yo.
4th fucking time.
4th fucking time.
Speaking, I'd been with you, but some of us had heart episodes and shit. Wow, fucking, where'd you see it this time?
I went to the theater in Koreatown, the CGV, blah, 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 with a Screen X jammy jam.
40X thing?
Screen X. 40X is downtown.
It's downtown.
which was kind of awesome. Like I didn't know what to expect going in, other than I saw the trailer and I kind of knew what to expect going in.
Describe it for those at home, the Screen X experience.
The Screen X experience is you're sitting in a theater, and it's, you're familiar with those, right? And so they project the movie on the one wall.
Yeah.
But every 8 or 9 minutes, there's a sequence where it's usually a computer-generated scenery thing, or they're flying into Wakanda, or they're in an underground railroad fighting about shit, and then suddenly the walls come alive with images. Suddenly it's like they've extended the picture, so you're kind of surrounded by the movie, and it's all real information. It's not like, oh no, it's green because we're in the jungle, so we just put leaves and shit. No, it's actually information, digital content that
that you wouldn't see unless you were watching that version of the movie.
That ILM or which of the 98 effects houses worked on Black Panther gave them more information to put on the panels of the screen. Wow. And it's kind of amazing. It's kind of immersive in a way that I didn't expect it to be. And then it stops and you go back to dialogue and shit. But then it's like, hey, Busan car chase. And suddenly you're in the middle of fucking Busan and shit's whizzing by you. And
you saw more in the Korean car chase?
Yeah.
What did you see?
Streets, street lamps, roads. I mean, it's not like there's a whole nother movie going on.
It was like, was Iron Man there?
Yeah. That's where they put the Ulysses Claw SoundCloud link. His mixtape is coming in off the left.
Right.
What is love? Baby, don't hurt me.
He had a good time in that movie. Fuck, he seemed to be enjoying himself. All right, so once again, Black Panther, well worth seeing.
Yes, I think, I might go for 5. I don't know. We'll see.
Are you movie passing it, or are you paying?
I am paying full fucking boat for that shit.
You will single-handedly save the movie industry.
I will. They'll be counting down man, we're almost at $1 billion. We just got to get $11 more.
They're going to hit it easily, aren't they?
It's hey, Mark went again. Yay!
They're getting that sweet Bernardin money.
Hell yeah.
All right, man, is that it?
That is all the news that is fit to print.
Ladies and gentlemen, when we're done talking about the news, very special thing happens here on Jay and wrong one. Hey, man, I just had a fucking heart attack. Very special thing happens here on Fat Man on Batman. We open up the floor to questions. Now, you can throw your hands in the air, wave them like you just don't care. JC is going to pick you out. But rather than come to you, are we bringing him to a specific place? We got new camera hangings.
Right here.
That's the spot?
Right here.
So there's a camera that's beaded on that. Yes. Beautiful. So this time around on Fat Man on Batman, we've got 2 audience cameras?
No, just this one.
Never mind.
Well, we've got, kind of.
Yeah, I saw, somebody showed me a fucking grid, and I was like, holy shit, this looks pro. So, as always, JC is going to go pick you out, and then he'll bring you over to that spot, and you can ask the question so the folks at home can see you as well. Now, when you ask a question, of course, oh, God, we got gifts to give out, man. The good folks at 4DX have given us tickets to give out, as have the good folks at the Ripley's Believe It or Not Museum, man. So if you ask a question, you'll receive 2 tickets to both?
2 tickets to this. It looks like 4 tickets to Ripley's.
Is that right? Or should we break them up and do 2 per?
I mean, we can. If you want to keep answering questions.
Well,
we can do this all night, baby.
5 and 5, right?
We can do this all night, baby.
Very true.
All night long.
Stop singing. So,
all night long.
The 4DX experience, if you've never seen a movie in 4DX, ladies and gentlemen, you owe it to yourself to do it, man. It snows in the movie theater if it's snowing on the screen. If a motorcycle goes screeching past you, you smell burnt fucking rubber. Your chair moves. If you're watching The Crawl on a Star Wars movie, your chair goes back as the crawl goes up and stuff. It's a wonderful experience. We got 2 free tickets for you. Thanks to the good folks at 4DX and our good friend Brett Deacon. Give it up for Deacon, man.
Deacon!
And our good friends at the Ripley's Believe It or Not Auditorium, I still call it that. It's a wonderful place to go see shit. I took the kid there all the time when we first moved to Hollywood when she was a youngster. So I look at those tickets, it fills me with happy childhood memories. Well, her childhood, not mine. So we're going to now go into the question mode period. We only ask this. You can't just ask anything because this is some pretty sweet swag. You got to ask a question that is relevant to both of us. You can't just, what's it like on the other side? Like my mom asked me. No. Keep it about the show, and also, it's got to be good for both of us and stuff like that. So we do get a bit shitty and a bit judgy at this point of the show. If you ask something that's been asked before or whatnot, we will not give you the fucking tickets. So just know that. You got to come up with some good shit. You've already picked somebody, sir?
Yeah, although right before we start,
'Kay.
Jason here made that for you based on one of your tweets.
Oh my God, that is beautiful.
Oh, that's
man.
awesome.
What do we say to the God of Death? Not today. That is fucking gorgeous. Thank you, Jason. Fuck.
All right, now we got questions.
Okay. God, that's beautiful. I'm fucking framing that shit.
That's Drusen level awesome right there.
That's the kind of life I have. Like, if you walk around my house, it's framed drawings of me and shit. Like, it's a museum everywhere I go. All right, man. How are you?
Hi, Kevin.
Hi.
Oh, hi, Mark. How are you?
Oh, hello.
Oh, hi, Mark. That's a good pull.
Hey, so I do have a question for both of you guys, but I do want to say briefly, I was here last Thursday when you guys had the during the week show, and I just want to say it's a privilege to actually be here and get to ask you a question personally, Kevin.
Thank you.
I read the
For me
news
as
on
well.
Monday, and I was really broken up, and I'm glad to see you're back on your
Thank
feet,
you.
man.
That
So
means the
it
world.
means
Love
everything.
being
It
here.
really does.
Love that you're all here. Thank you. Great to be alive. Every day above ground is a good day. And shit.
Awesome. All right, guys. So my question is, it's regarding Black Panther. We all had the privilege of seeing Black Panther the movie. Some of us 4 times, and we all know that he's more than capable of carrying his own movie. But as you guys kind of touched on before, it's inevitable that coming with the new Avengers: Infinity War movie, that big characters are going to die.
Yes.
If they're smart, it's going to probably be Captain America.
You think so?
I really think so. I mean, they're following the Brewbreaker series. I really
Why
think.
am I the only? Am I the alone in thinking it's going to be Tony Stark?
Why can't it be
You
both?
think both? It'd be
Yeah.
tough to lose fucking both, man. Maybe one per movie. I can't imagine
Well,
we lose both of them in the first
I mean,
play.
if they go with the current continuity, they can lose Robert Downey, and then he can just come back as AI for the next.
That's
Iron
what
Man.
I hope to
I mean,
God he comes
it's an
back
easy
as the voice
paycheck,
of the
right?
suit,
I mean,
right.
he just-
Easier paycheck than he even gets now.
He's
to just be
basically
like, now I'm the
podcasting at that
voice.
point.
He could literally record with his dick out if he wanted to. That's fucking Disney money right there.
Ask Neil Gaiman. That's how he does it.
Yes. So I don't. What was the question?
So the question is, I'm banking that Captain America is going to die. It's going to leave a gaping hole for the next Avengers team.
Yes.
I kind of know my answer to this question already, but my question to you guys now is Black Panther the right person to lead the new Avengers team? And yes or no, and why?
I'll go first because you'll
Okay.
probably have a way better answer than me. Yes, because he's the most profitable right now. So money talks, and yes, I think, of course, absolutely. It'd be a no-brainer at this point. Make him the head of the new version of the team.
If it was me, I would make Black Widow the leader of the team.
Ah.
Because there's the part of me that remembers reading the X-Men back in the day when Storm lost her powers and then had to fight Cyclops for the leadership of the X-Men and won. And the reason why is because she was willing to do more and go further. Like the idea of a non-powered person leading a powered phalanx of super fucking people. She understands the responsibility of it more than, say, Thor does. You know, like I think that there's some really wonderful dramatic opportunities if you put it in Natasha's hands. As much as I love some T'Challa, T'Challa be crazy. I feel like Black Widow.
Awesome.
Were it mine to do, and it is manifestly not.
Also unfair to tax the king of another country to be like, hey, can you also be the head of the Avengers? He's like, I got a whole country. I'm protecting vibranium here. Solve your own fucking problems.
It's like, yeah, but we got jackets.
I'll
Yeah,
be there if
whatever.
you want to fight at an airport. Other than that, I'm done.
Thank you guys very much.
Excellent job. You won some tickets. Give it up for him, ladies and gentlemen. That's a great question.
Yes.
Pleasure. Take 1 and 1. Meanwhile, JC, where are we going to next, my
All
friend?
right, here we go.
Hey guys, how's it going?
My man.
What's up?
What's up?
Kevin, I just want to say thank you so much for being here. It's really great to, it's really great to be able to see you again after the whole ordeal. I mean, I was at the show on Sunday.
You were there? You were there?
The second show, and they came out, told us you
Oh,
were
so
sick.
you didn't get to see a show.
Yeah,
You're like, I'm
yeah,
mad. I
yeah.
want my money back.
Yeah,
I felt bad, honestly. I was thinking of you, not you personally, but you in the second show. That kept me from going to the hospital for as long as I was, because I was like, I don't want to let the people down. Like, fucking, I got another show to do. They had told me when I finished the first show, they were like, you were only supposed to do an hour to 2 hours, so we have our entire fucking special. The next show is just gravy and stuff. So the whole time I was like, yeah, even though it's gravy, they're all here, they're lined up, and like, you know, it's fucking 2 hours, it's nothing. And then I started to feel bad, and I was just, there was a point where I was like, well, I don't know, we might have to cancel the show. And that was when they wheeled me into the emergency room. So at that point, I felt a little bit bad. When they took me out the back, I waved to some cats. I don't know if they were for the next show or the previous show when they took me into the ambulance. But I was like, bye.
Oh, yeah, well, I'm glad you did cancel because, you know, now you get to be here. So
Yeah, but it was going to be a killer show.
Oh, yeah.
You really missed out. But, you know, you're right, I'm here, and that matters.
Yeah. My question is, since Mark, since you just did the well, the question for both of you, but since you just did the Black Panther Roundtable, I was wondering, like, I just kind of had this idea in my head when Infinity War comes out. How would you guys feel like if you guys got like all of the Smodcast guys like Ralph and Andy and Jay and like did another roundtable for like Infinity War and like called it something catchy like the Smavengers or something?
Like Mark and the Whiteys?
Yeah. I didn't think about that, but you know what? Yeah.
Mark and even more white guys.
A Cracker Barrel of fun. I kid because I love.
That is a good idea, though, for us. A lot of us who do podcasts for Smodcast are obviously big genre fans. So, yeah, that is a fucking smart take. I would totally do that. How did your roundtable go for those that weren't paying attention?
I think it went pretty well, but I can't ever tell because I never watched them. I have a thing where I don't like to look at myself or listen to myself because it's uncannily awful. But I feel like the energy in the room was pretty cool. I think that Evan particularly told a story about how Evan Narcisse writes Rise of the Black Panther, the comic book from Marvel. And he was talking about how he and his dad have been estranged for almost 20, 25 years. Like they didn't speak. There was a bad falling out in the family. I think his mother had moved on and found somebody else. And so he had never really had any contact with his dad until one day, like he was having a signing at Midtown Comics, and his dad shows up. Because his dad, who he hasn't spoken to in any real way in almost 2 decades, got word that he was writing a Black Panther comic book and showed up at a comic book store where he was at to get it signed by his son.
That's a pretty moving story.
And just the idea that this character, that this moment in time made it possible for him to reconnect it's a movie that's about tradition, it's about heritage, it's about legacy, it's about lineage, it's about fathers and sons. It's about all of these things. It's about remembering your history and not forgetting it and holding on to it. For this movie and this character to bring his history together in a way, you know, we were all just trying not to fucking cry. It's like, Evan, motherfucker, we were not prepared to be crying about Black Panther today, and yet here we are. And I think that what that round table...
From Wakanda to Weepconda.
Hell yes. But I think that in many ways that's what this movie has done for a lot of people, is just offer this bonding agent for both themselves, for the community, for their families. And it's not just a black thing. It's not just an African American thing. I think it's like literally it's a movie that's about remembering who you are and where you're from. And even if who you are and where you're from isn't as awesome as Wakanda, it all kind of has value. And so, yeah, I'm super glad we did that. And it was a lot of fun.
And it looks like we'll do it again with Mark and the Whiteys when Avengers happens. Great job. You give it up, ladies and gentlemen. He wins the fucking tickets.
Whichever you like. One pile only. Choose wisely.
Take us there, JC.
All right, here we go.
How you doing, guys? My
Hey!
name is
So
Amador.
good. How are you?
So while you were recovering, I started looking up a bunch of YouTube stuff, and I found Dinner for Five, the
Yes.
Jon Favreau show.
Yes.
And I saw your show with Jason Lee, J.J. Abrams, Mark Hamill, and Stan Lee, of course.
Yes.
And so my question is, for you guys, if you can invite 4 people, no matter if they're dead, alive, fictional, non-fictional, who would it be?
Jesus.
Yeah. Well, I did mine. That was my list back in the day, but that was 2001. But I can go deeper. I can go into the dead. Let's see. My dad, because what the fuck, if I'm raising the dead, I might as
Right.
well be like, hey, man, how are you? Batman in full costume.
Where's the butter?
Not the Ben Affleck Batman. The real Batman. Let's see. Who else would I pick? Fuck. I mean, the old me would say Jesus, but all right, Jesus. Just to be like, are you real?
You will
like,
never,
yes, I am. I'd fucking change my ways instantly and shit.
You
Be
will
like,
never-
yeah, I am real, and I hate dogma.
You won't ever run out of fish and/or bread.
That's true, man. We can eat kind of pescatarian. And then one more slot.
One more slot.
Abraham Lincoln. He seems like a fucking fun guy. Some shit that we could talk to him about and whatnot. And he lived through history. Plus, he got killed, so it'd be like, what did it feel like to get shot in the head? And if he was like, not that bad, that'd take another fear of mine right out. And shit. So that's my list. How about you?
That's your list. I got to do 5.
Oh, I thought I was the 5th, right?
Right, like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, what do
you gotta do?
me plus 4. Quincy Jones.
Nice.
Especially lately. Holy
Hell
shit.
yes.
Who fucking knew that Marlon Brando and Richard Pryor fucked around? We would have never have known that were it not for the great Quincy Jones.
Oh, dear God. Get a drink in that man and everything comes forward. Quincy Jones, Richard Pryor,
Okay.
Mel Brooks,
Wow.
Wow.
Jim Henson.
Oh.
Nice.
Your list got applause, man. Good job. That makes sense. I picked Batman. What an asshole. Well, the show, you know. Anyway, great question, man. Give it up for him. You get some tickets, ladies and gentlemen. He won. Pleasure. And take a Ripley's. Take a Ripley's as well.
No, not both.
Oh, I thought it was both.
No, one.
Oh, no, then take the 40X. I thought we were giving away both.
No.
Oh, I thought it was you get tickets and tickets.
I'm going to stretch this, man.
I see. There'll be more. All right, where are we going next, JC?
We got a guy coming from the far side of the room.
KO.
All the way.
Load the next one in the chamber way ahead of time.
Yes.
There you go.
Hey!
Hey.
Hola!
So,
¿Cómo
question. Muy bien. Question to both of you is with Batgirl losing the director, who would be your dream director and plot point for the film?
Did we talk about that last time? Batgirl losing a director?
I think we did. We talked about the joss of it all.
Yes, because we during the day show.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, with Batgirl losing the director, who would I like to see take over Batgirl? Let's see. Lexi Alexander, I'm always plugging for her. I thought she did a fucking amazing job with that Punisher movie. And on script, who would I like to see on script? Honestly, it's not going to be a popular answer in the world of movies, but deserves a shot because she's been telling Batgirl stories for a long time. Gail Simone. I'd love to see her write a fucking script. Her write a script, Lexi Alexander direct. What about you, sir?
I think I would like Michelle McLaren to direct. TV director, Game of Thrones,
yeah.
Breaking Bad, all of the things that are awesome.
Yeah.
And to write it, Lena Waithe.
Who that?
Lena Waithe is the writer-creator of The Shy on Showtime. She was also in Master of None. She is awesome and wonderful and the most impressive lesbian you'll ever meet.
Well, I've met some impressive lesbians. That bar is very high.
But yeah, like I think she's just nerdy enough, but also knows how to make the fucking clocks go. So, yeah, that would be my twofer.
She's got series experience too.
If I can't have Lexi directing it, then fine.
I like it. There's your answer. You get some tickets. Give it up for him, ladies and gentlemen. These your pick. Meanwhile, what you got next, JC?
Hello, hello.
Why, hello. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
So good.
I was
don't know
able.
if you heard, but never mind.
I was there. I was actually there,
Which
and I
one?
got to see the show.
You saw? How was the show?
It was great.
Thank you.
Yeah, but you're gonna whittle it down. I think you should do the full 2 hours or whatever it was.
We did. It's got a home, and it has to be 60 to 75 minutes. So I just did 2 cuts this morning. One of a 60-minute version, one of a 75-minute version. Both are very, very funny. And at the end of the day, if you leave them wanting more, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Don't
Nice.
want to. I've thought about. Believe me, I was like, I'm gonna put the whole fucking 2 hours up there.
Well,
But
it had
at
a
the
nice
same
arc
time,
and
it's
everything,
like,
you know.
people might be like, an hour would have been enough. I'm glad you're alive, but come on, man, I got shit to do.
Well, it was great. So
Thank you. Thanks
I'm
for,
glad it
thanks
worked
for
out
being
for
there,
you.
man. I'm gonna go look at the footage and see if I can see your face.
Front row,
Right on. Then
but
I'll
like the
definitely see
very
you.
left, like literally the very left. If you're facing the crowd, the left. But I was
Did
front
you
row.
have any? Did you see? I saw signs, bro. I knew it was coming or not.
You
at
looked
all.
a little teary-eyed during the standing ovation, so I don't know if that was a mix of emotion, but also maybe the sickness. I'm not sure.
I didn't feel bad at that point, so it was probably a little bit more emotion than anything.
Okay.
else. I
Well,
cry at everything.
I hope this question isn't too much of a downer, but the in memoriam section at the Oscars, I know, left a lot of folks off the list,
Yeah.
and I think this is unfortunate. I'm subscribed to the Ralph Report, and he's been chatting about this a lot. So I know Adam West and Michael Parks and some folks like that. I personally would have put. I mean, Michael Parks seems like a no-brainer, and
Sorry, say
Michael
again?
Parks seems like a no-brainer.
Right.
And my question, and I'll give you my answer before I ask the question, is Michael Parks in Red State would be a nice piece to show in his in memoriam. I'm curious if there's any people that you felt were left off, and if there were, what clip you might play if you were choosing their clip.
Last year, a friend of mine passed away, and I thought he'd be in the in memoriam. He didn't make it, and then I was kind of holding out stupid hope that he might be in this year. But as you said, they didn't even put Adam West in it. Adam West was in the legit movies, and they didn't put Michael Parks in it. Michael Parks was in legit movies and stuff. So at the end of the day, Jim Jacks was a producer on Mallrats. He produced Tombstone, Dazed and Confused, all the Mummy movies with Brendan Fraser. This guy gave his whole life to the fucking movie business and stuff, and aggregated to his dream job. Didn't come from that world, was raised the son of an army. He was an army brat, so he called his dad the general or the major. His parents, he loved movies as a kid, but his parents were like, you're going to be an engineer. And so he did what he was told, and he went to school and became an engineer. And then he would spend all of his free time at the movie theater. He just fucking loved movies. So he'd go to this theater called the Circle Theater that was run by these two brothers. And he would tell them after the movies, like he was always there every week, multiple days a week. And he would tell them, there are these movies I read about, you should get them to come to this theater and stuff. And so one day they were like, do you want to work here? You seem to know a lot about movies, so you could be our programmer. And so he came in and started programming the Circle Theater and did that for a long time. And movies he picked earned for that little theater. And so the brothers who owned the theater told him one day, they were like, why don't we put out a movie? Like, we're exhibitors, we could distribute. So why don't you go find a movie at the American film market? So Jim said, okay, and he got on a plane. An engineer, somebody who was not from the movie business at all and shit, just got one step closer to his fucking dream, aggregated to his dream job of being in the movies, and never upset anybody else's apple cart to do it. A lot of us who want to do shit in life, it's like, follow me, come hell or high water, I'm going it my way. This is a motherfucker who did as told, but then quietly, bit by bit, just kind of aggregated toward his dream job. So he goes out to the American film market to look for something to bring back to the Circle Theater that they could distribute to other theaters, call their own. He comes back with a movie and he tells the brothers, I found this movie. It's getting very good praise. I loved it. Never seen anything like it, but it reminds me of older movies. Very film noir. It's by these two young brothers who've never made a movie before. It's called Blood Simple. And so the Circle Theater, Circle Productions, picked up Blood Simple, the Coen brothers' first movie, and put it out there in the world, and they did very well by it. And so they told Jim, they're like, as a reward, like, you got to work with these guys again. We get another movie out of them, so oversee their next movie. And that movie was Raising Arizona. And with that, God bless you, as a producer, executive producer on Raising Arizona, Jim Jacks entered his dream. He did what he was supposed to and did what his parents told him and shit, and did the work and went to college and got a job that he didn't want and shit. But without upsetting anybody else's life, aggregated to his fucking dream job. And once he got in the door, all he did was fucking make movies. The dude legit cared about it. He cared about you. He cared about everybody in this fucking room, though he never met you, because he always thought about what you wanted and wanted to show you something fucking beautiful. He made movies that none of us will ever forget, shit like Dazed and Confused. He produced Mallrats for me, so I'll never forget him for that and stuff. He's got a long list of movies that were commercially successful as well. And he passed away 2 years ago rather suddenly. He had a heart attack on a treadmill and fucking died. Nobody was there to save him and stuff, so Jim went. So I thought he would be in the last year's In Memoriam because those mummy movies made some loot and shit like that, but he didn't make it. And then I thought, all right, maybe it was too soon. It just happened. He'll show up this year, but he didn't show up. So if I could honor anybody, bless you, I would honor Jim Jacks, who's like all the movies that a bunch of filmmakers love and a bunch of audience love, a bunch of movies that made people go, I want to be a movie maker and shit. He made. Like he was behind. He was the guy behind those movies. And the clip I would show, what would be Jax? I mean, I'd be tempted to show something from Mallrats because that'd mean I'd get on the Oscars too. But but what would really stand for Jim Jacks? What, like, honestly, like, it's crazy to say, but those mummy movies with Brendan Fraser were his passion project. Like from the time I met him, when we met him at the closing awards ceremony at Sundance 1994. Met him at the bar and stuff. I was introduced by our friend John Pearson. He goes, "This is Jim Jacks." I said, "Jim Jacks, I know you. You produced Dazed and Confused." He said, "Yeah." He's going, "I liked your movie. I almost bought it, but Miramax bought it out from under me." He's going, I said, "You liked it?" He goes, "Yeah, I would have remade it though at Universal, and I would have made it in color, and I would have let you keep about 80% of the movie." And I was like, 80%? What would I have had to have lost? And he goes, "Nobody fucks a dead guy in a Universal movie." So I was like, well, I'm glad it went the other way and stuff. And he started talking. He's like, "You got any other ideas?" And I said, yeah, I got a movie I want to make called Mallrats, which I didn't. It was just an idea in my head. And he goes, "Mallrats, what's that?" I said, "It's like Clerks, but in a mall." And he goes, they're going to be flown out to Los Angeles to meet with Disney because Miramax was owned by Disney in those days. He's like, "You'll probably meet with the Hollywood Pictures people and stuff. They do this for all the Sundance kids. They go to the studio, you meet them, they fly out." He's going, "Tell them whatever you want, but don't tell them Mallrats. Save that and bring that to Universal." I was okay. And so I went like 2 months later, sure enough, he was right. Disney flew us out to Los Angeles, and we met with all the studios and shit, and they're like, "We like your movie. What do you want to do?" And I told them what I wanted to do, but nobody was interested. They pitched me a bunch of fucking movies they wanted me to do and stuff. But Jim Jacks, I held on to the Mallrats pitch and took it to Universal. And I told him, I was like, Disney flew me out here. I feel kind of bad about that. He goes, "Fuck them. They got all the money." So ever since I known him from 1994 forward, man, he was always talking about the mummy. And never called him the mummy. He always called him Imhotep and stuff. He was just like, "Oh, one day I'm going to make that Imhotep movie." And I was like, "You should probably call it the fucking mummy." He's like, "I will, but in my heart he'll be Imhotep." And he built that franchise from the ground up. And he was the guy that believed in the Rock, like bringing in Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. He was a big fan of his and also believed in his, like, he's got a huge following in the world of wrestling. He's charming. I'm sure he could be in movies as well. So I guess I would have to show a clip from The Mummy because I do believe without Jim, that particular version, that incarnation, I fully acknowledge The Mummy had existed in Universal film history, but he was the guy who kept tub thumping for them. If Jim Jacks was still alive today, the Dark Universe would be up and running, and he would be the guy running it. Because he was the guy that loved those Universal monsters. It captured his imagination as a child. When I went to his funeral, his brother gave a eulogy and stuff, and he talked about when they were kids, like Jim was a little older than him, they would go to the movies. Like he'd take his little brother to the movies, and they'd watch the movies, and then after the movies, they would follow adults that were talking about the movie to wherever they went. So if they went to the nearby diner, they would get a booth right behind those adults and listen to what they said about the movie. And the whole time, Jim would say to his little brother, "They didn't understand it at all," and break it down. This is what the movie was about. Jim was the internet before the internet existed and shit. So this was a guy who loved movies and then like dreamed of telling stories that like captured his imagination as a kid for a new generation, and he did that with the Mummy movies. So I would say Jim Jacks with a Mummy clip.
Did he love the Stan Lee Brody scene as well?
The which one?
The Stan Lee Brody scene from Mallrats. Wasn't that one of his favorites? Surrounded with American Graffiti.
He got us, Stan Lee. I had written the first draft of Mallrats. It wasn't Stan Lee. I just wrote like a comics guru. It was kind of like the Wolfman Jack character in American Graffiti. So he was not named. It was Stan Lee, but I didn't use Stan Lee's name at all. He was the most prominent figure in the world of comics. And so when Jim Jacks read the script, he goes, "What's this one character, man, that Brody's impressed by?" I was like, "Oh, he's like kind of like Stan Lee, I guess. And he's our version of Stan Lee." And he goes, "Why don't you just write it for Stan Lee?" And I was like, I don't know Stan Lee. And he goes, well, I do. And that's when I was like, Hollywood is good. Like, all these fuckers know each other and shit. So he goes, I'll ask him if he wants to do it. He's going, if I know Stan, he'll want to do it. He's a big ham. And he asked Stan, and Stan was like, yeah, absolutely. So I wrote the scene and sent it to Jim, and then I faxed it to Jim, and then Jim faxed it to Stan. And the first reaction that Stan had apparently, to the pages, as the story goes, is, I would never say this shit. But Jim Jacks was like, he's an up-and-coming filmmaker. Trust me, it's a good idea. And so Stan trusted Jim because they were friends, because Jim wanted to make Marvel movies. He was a big comic book fan and stuff. So it all worked out because of Jim Jacks, man. So yeah, he's tied in with my story in a big bad way. You?
Okay. Well, there's two people. One of which I'm sure I didn't see in the In Memoriam section. The other one I can't believe wasn't included.
Yes.
Bernie Casey.
That's right. Bernie Casey wasn't there.
Bernie Casey, who was my Felix Leiter in
James Bond universe.
Never Say Never Again.
Yeah.
And was also in a bunch of other shit that I'm sure you have seen. What was his fucking name? Jefferson what in Revenge of the Nerds? He was the head of the Lambdas.
Oh, that's right, the Lambda House. I always think of him as the guy who trained Aykroyd and Chevy Chase in Spies Like Us.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was that guy. And maybe I've got the timeline wrong, but I don't think I do. I didn't see Bill Paxton in the In Memoriam, or was he there and I missed it?
He was not in the In Memoriam, but maybe he died last year. Did he? So he made the Oscars last year?
He made the Oscars last year?
He didn't make the Oscars last year, and he didn't make it this year? So the policy is if they miss you, they don't catch up the next year, I guess.
Well, that's fucked up.
I know. He died right before the Oscars last year. Is that last year Jennifer Aniston talked about him? Last year Jennifer Aniston talked about him, but he didn't make the death montage.
Gotcha.
But he'll forever live in our hearts. But you're right, that was a glaring omission.
Yeah. So Bernie Casey's my answer. I do not have a 12-minute story about Bernie Casey. I think he was awesome. He was reliably cool in the way that some actors were just, you could put him in something and he would make it a little bit better. And yeah, I think Jefferson Davis, I think his name was, in Revenge of the Nerds. And that would be the clip that I'd use.
We pulled from Revenge of the Nerds?
Yes.
Very nice. Great question.
Can I say one more thing?
Okay, yeah.
You guys don't owe us anything. That being said, you still owe us a Dark Knight commentary.
Oh, yes.
So we're going to hold you to it.
Sure. We just did, what did we do first? Batman Begins. So we'll save it for another holiday. And
Thank you so much, guys.
Pleasure, man. Give it up for him. We won some tickets.
Yes.
We've got the bar wired now that we could do it here in front of an audience.
What?
If that's attractive to people.
What do you mean? Say again?
We could put a TV in here and put TVs up if people would want to come and watch you talk about Batman.
That's true.
Opposed to every other comic book.
That's true. Yes. Good point. All right, where are we going next?
Yeah,
we got
find me a lady
tickets.
person.
Oh man. What's up, guys?
Hey.
You know, keep it short. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're alive.
Thank
glad we all get to see you, of course. Mark, good to see you too. Look, I just don't want to repeat what everybody else says, but I do feel the same way. So thank you very much, guys. So I saw a new Ready Player One trailer, and the thing that stood out most to me was, oh snap, it's the RX-79 Mobile Suit Gundam. I love that. Saw the Akira bike. So I've been thinking with the new Death Note series that came out on Netflix, you had Ghost in the Shell come out last year. You have Alita coming out this year. It seems like Hollywood is definitely more into taking chances with anime, and manga adaptations. Mm-hmm. Ghost in the Shell it's kind of whack. Visually looked great, but it was kind of whack. My whole thing is my question to you guys both is, what is it gonna take for what is it going to take for lightning to strike kind of with that particular genre, if you will? Is it going to have to be the right adaptation, or is it going to have to be the right set of circumstances, actors involved, crew, etc.?
I bet you it's got to be something akin to something that a lot of people recognize, so there's immediately a fan base for it, which was the case with the Black Panther, bless you. Marvel had built up an amazing fan base, plus just people who'd wanted to see that character since he was in comic books, since they were kids. So maybe it needs to be something like Akira or The Last Airbender, but really done correctly. For the people that love that series, not the M. Night Shyamalan version and stuff. And not taking anything away from him as a filmmaker, but clearly there was a more true to the series version of that movie that could have been done. So if you take some IP like that people know, like, oh shit, and then you just make it palatable for everybody, and why couldn't they have their own version, so to speak? Why can't anime have their Black Panther, so to speak, or manga? But it would have to be, it would have to be something that like people can get their heads around a little bit. And I know The Last Airbender doesn't really count. Akira probably is the one that like people are familiar with but don't really know. And if you did a killer version of that with a cast that looked like the cast in the comic books and the original material, it could pan out huge. That's a story that I always felt was impenetrable for me, though. I've seen that cartoon so many times, and still to this day, I'm like, I don't know what the fuck happened. It's beautiful, it's sumptuous, but I've never understood it. Maybe a movie I would understand more.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that you're right. It needs that cultural moment where it feels as if everything is swirling in a magnetic kind of way, the same way Marvel again did all the heavy lifting and got us to Black Panther. And for as long as that character's been around, like, it's still, even if every fan of that book showed up, you need a lot more of them to get to $1 billion.
That's true.
I feel like, for me, I would love to see a Voltron movie. You know, like I feel like the mixture of fucking awesome lions and mecha and all of that shit, like you get the kaiju stuff, you get the Transformer stuff, the things that people already seem to like, all in one. And then if you cast it right and you do it right and you get like John Chu to direct it, or you get, fucking James Wan to direct it, and then you build the right cast around that, then yeah, like it becomes irresistible. And I think that that's what these things need to be, to the point where, like, yeah, we don't have to have Scarlett Johansson in this for it to be irresistible. It is just, oh my God, we have 5 fucking lions forming a giant robot with a flaming sword that's chopping things to pieces. Like, why don't we have that?
Star Blazers. I would vote for Star Blazers. I was a big fan of that as a kid. Does that still count?
Yeah.
It's old school.
I'll allow it.
Thank for the judge. Hey, great question. Give it up for him. He won some tickets. Come grab some tickets.
Whichever one you want, man.
Do you remember the theme to Star Blazers?
No. I bet you had the word Star Blazers in it, though.
It did. It literally did. Pleasure.
What about Macross?
What?
Macross. I'm not familiar with it, but yes.
Megs, stuff killing, anyway, sorry.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Hi,
It's
Elliot.
great to see both of you guys.
Nice to be seen.
This kind of relates to, the idea of what he was saying about, anime movies and properties that we haven't seen yet that we'd like to see. You guys as writers and as a filmmaker as well, and hopefully maybe one day you might sit in the director's chair.
One day soon, my friend.
Is there a comic book character or franchise that we haven't seen yet from, doesn't have to be Marvel, doesn't have to be DC, it could be Dynamite, it could be Image, whatever, that you would want to write? That you would want to, I'm sorry about that. That you want to write, that you would want to direct, or just that you want to see on screen that seems pretty far out there, but now with the prolific amount of comic book movies, maybe could happen?
I say this every time. I love DC Comics as a character called The Question.
Oh, which one of my favorites?
I think either as a movie or as a series would be totally fun to see. And it's easy to pull off at this point. Like removing people's features digitally, even if they just wanted to do that as a constant effects shot. It'd be a little pricier, but they could easily make something as well to cover somebody's face. I still like that notion. I back that 100%. You?
Yeah. I feel like I've talked about it before, but it still holds.
As I said, you guys probably get asked this a lot.
Yeah. No, it's cool. I love talking about Lone Wolf and Cub. It's one of my favorite comic books ever.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And, this vast, sweeping samurai epic that's told over 22 volumes of manga, some 4,000 pages of content to adapt, and it's, Game of Thrones plus samurais and shit. But I think I feel like we could get to a world, and we're not that far from it, where you get Lobo. on
Yes.
screen in a real way.
Very, yeah. That seems more plausible than ever now.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to pivot that far from Deadpool to get, and whatever fucking James Wan Aquaman is going to be like, it feels as if there's absolutely a path that leads you there. And if they're no longer hell-bent on, we got to build Justice League 2, and instead they're like, we can do fucking anything because nothing's working, so, hey! Then I feel like you can actually get a Lobo movie, and it could just be balls out crazy and run with it.
And standalone, and it doesn't have to hook into some universe or make sense.
No, I mean maybe he's got a lantern ring around a necklace, and that's all we ever see of the lanterns. That's all we ever see of the DC universe. Just he killed a fucking lantern once and keeps a ring as a trophy.
That's fucking metal, dude.
Right?
That's awesome. That's a great question. Give it up for him. You get some tickets.
All right.
Where are we going next? Hey, how are you?
Hey, hi. Glad we're all here doing this.
Hey!
So just want to preface this by saying that I absolutely loved Black Panther, but one of my frustrations with the movie
Really?
is
You have some too?
I do, is the fact that we get to see so little of everyday Wakandan life and certain aspects of Wakandan culture. Like for me personally, the fact that we never get to see King T'Chaka's funeral is kind of huge for me.
I agree. I thought it was weird. And didn't you pitch a version last time where you were like, there's a world where that was the opening scene?
Yeah, that because T'Chaka dies off screen fundamentally for this movie, and because T'Challa's arc is very kind of horizontally flat, like he is, I'm king, king's awesome. Oh shit, I got to do a mission, I failed at it. What? Oh my god, I'm not king, hey, I'm king again. Like it's all riding kind of here. But if you build a narrative where he's not king until the very end, until like his coronation is supposed to be, ends up being the Killmonger fight, and Killmonger takes the crown. So start with a funeral, see all of Wakanda, see the beauty and the majesty of everything, and you can still introduce M'Baki, you can still introduce all of the various tribes, but instead you're celebrating the old and then giving him a rise so that he's coronated by the end of the movie instead of the beginning of the movie, but that's just me.
Well, the other thing too is that we never get to see what Wakandan money looks like, and I was really curious to see if they were going to have like a Coming to America, like
He's got his own money!
yeah. And I was just wondering if maybe there was an aspect of Wakandan life that maybe you were super curious about, and maybe frustrated that they didn't get a chance to really show that in the movie.
Great fucking question. Naturally, I want to know how Wakandans fuck. And Disney wouldn't show us. Let me think.
They never freeze.
Nice. Good pull. I don't, let me see. I mean, look, I'm hella forgiven because it's the first time and they got a lot of information to get across and tell us a story. And so I was honestly surprised we saw as much of Wakanda as we did based on like the heavy lifting they had to do. It looks like we're going back there for the next Avengers movies. Mm-hmm. It seems like a lot of it's taking place there. But no, it never, honestly, I'm not that imaginative as a movie audience member where I'm like, oh, I would have liked it if they did this more when it comes to movies that I really dig. And that movie I didn't feel like was, for me, missing anything. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, there's the stuff that if this was a TV show, you would get a sense of, we don't know if there are any cities in Wakanda. All we've ever told is Wakanda. Like, clearly there have to be, there's the capital city, there's the river tribe, the border tribe. All of these have places they live and come from and what that's like. And who are the other people on the fucking parliamental council, whatever? How does that dude get the plate in his lip? Like, there's a bunch of shit that if you had 10 hours to play with, then you could kind of like, all right, and where do the Dora Milaje come from? How do you recruit them? How do you train them? In the comics, it was also the Dora Milaje were prospective wives for the king of Wakanda, and until he chose one, they also served as his honor guard. Not that I feel like that was a good thing to omit for the movie. It's like, oh no, these are the women he will choose from. It's not a good look in 2018, but just the texture of it. I mean, you're right. It's very surfacey because it has to be, because they have so much to fucking do, and the fact that they got to do as much as they did is kind of remarkable, actually. Like the fact that we're in Oakland in the past and in the present, we keep bouncing back and forth, and Ancestral Plane and Killmonger and what his story is, and oh shit, and Dora Milaje and casino heists and all this stuff. Like it doesn't leave us a lot of time for like shopping in Wakanda.
Ooh, that's the movie I do want to see. Wakanda Mall Rats. Yeah, no, I'm just not as clever like you two. I was very like, oh, that's good. And I was shocked that we saw as much as we did. I mean, more so than any other Marvel movie, boy, there was a sense of place and community there.
Yeah.
Location played a big role. It was almost a secondary character. Great question. You win some tickets. Come on up and grab them. Give it up for her, ladies and gentlemen. How are you, my friend?
Hello. I came all the way from Brazil.
Brazil!
You guys.
Fuck, give it up for him. You travel far. You get tickets regardless.
Yeah. I actually got tickets for the Babylon as well.
Oh, right on.
But then something happened to you, and I got very sad.
Oh, the one
so.
that they canceled. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't cancel it. Ralph did. I'm so
yeah.
mad at him.
I actually called the improv to like, is that true? And they say, yeah. So.
Yeah. They're like, yeah, he almost died, bitch.
Yeah. Look, I figured I'm okay with this one as well because I thought I wasn't gonna get any show.
Oh, right. So it's nice to be here
because
for us.
my dad actually recovered from a heart attack, and that's not a toy. That's not
That's
something.
what they keep telling me. They're like, wow,
Yeah.
fucking, you shouldn't fuck around. And I'm like, well, I'm not. I'm just standing in a bar and talking.
Yeah,
but like I'm drinking, that'd be bad.
Yeah.
Just standing here talking.
So yeah, actually, I'm very excited to see you alive and kicking because I'm very looking forward for the new Jay and Silent Bob movie.
Jay and Silent Bob reboot. You and me both.
Yeah.
While I was convalescing, I did another draft of the script, and I was very happy with what I did. Yeah, I can't. I just keep tinkering, bringing it down, making it tighter.
Awesome. So since the topic is reboot,
yes.
If you guys could reboot anything at all, what would it be?
Can I go first?
Shoot.
There's a Disney movie called Bed Knobs and Broomsticks.
Oh, that's awesome! That's the shit. Yeah.
I love this movie with all my heart. It's a big part of my childhood.
Yeah.
A lot of my imagination kind of comes from it and stuff. But and while it is a brilliant fucking piece of filmmaking from its era, storytelling, shall we say, from its era, you'd be hard pressed to get a kid to watch that today.
Yeah.
It's just
it's very difficult to watch.
Cartoon characters, they're literally 2-dimensional and stuff, and kids today are trained for, 3 dimensions and stuff. So I think you could get away with that movie. It's got everything that's fucking commercial. It's got witches, which do very well at the box office. Fucking Harry Potter made $1 or $2. It's got Nazis. Witches fighting Nazis.
Yeah, witches fighting Nazis.
And witches fighting Nazis with an army of the undead that she fucking raises herself with a fucking spell. And it's cartoons and like all of it fucking rock. Kids that are in jeopardy, World War II, so you could get Gary Oldman to do a cameo as Churchill and shit like that. That movie,
We will fight them from the broomsticks.
Yes.
We will fight them from the cupboard.
God, I love that movie. Bed, take us to the Isle of Nibumbu. And then they go under the water.
Who would you put in it? Who would you cast in it?
Who would I put in it? Let's see. While I was in fucking the hospital, Chris Pratt tweeted at me, so I'd put him in everything.
He's excellent. Yeah.
He's excellent.
He's
and who
excellent.
wouldn't go see that version of it, man?
Yeah. Very charming. Very good actor. Very funny.
He's wonderful. Absolutely. And fucking boy, he could pull that off. So yeah, I say Bed Knobs and Broomsticks. You?
I will give you one that can't ever happen.
Oh.
Because the screenwriter, in some fashion, retained the rights and refuses to give it up to anybody. The Last Starfighter.
That's a good one.
I love The Last Starfighter. What do you mean about nobody? There's never been a remake.
There's never been a remake. Spielberg made a run at it and couldn't get it. Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg made a run at it, couldn't get it. They made Future Man instead, which is basically The Last Starfighter. But yeah, the rights holder, the dude who wrote the movie, doesn't want anybody to touch it. And
Spielberg made a run at it?
Spielberg made a run at it. And
somebody said no to Spielberg?
Yeah. Fancy that.
And lived to tell the story?
But I love that movie. I still think that movie...
It's a fantastic film.
The themes of that movie are just as relevant today as they were then.
Really? Explain.
I think the idea of wanting to be from someplace else than you are, like realizing I live in a trailer park in the middle of nowhere and I'm meant for more than this, And given the world we currently live on, the income inequality has left more people feeling as if I'm living in a trailer park and I'm meant for more than this. And the idea that technology can be the key and the route and the way and the light out of that. And to fucking go in outer space and destroy the Kodan Armada.
Zura and the Kodan Armada. That's a good pull, man.
You know, like I feel like there is so many ways to make that both contemporary without losing any of what made it awesome in 1984.
Beautiful answer, man. Excellent question. Give it up for Brazil.
Thank you
He
so
did
much.
it, man.
Actually, I don't want tickets because
you're going home?
I'm leaving tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
I'm going back home tomorrow.
Okay.
I do want a picture with you guys. If
Try to
that's
grab
possible.
it after the show.
Okay.
I can't guarantee it because I may be rushed out of here in an ambulance.
That's not gonna
how
happen,
I leave
sir.
shows now, but yeah, we can try to grab one afterwards.
Okay, thank you.
All right, on, man. Pleasure. Give it up for Brazil. He did it. Thank you. How are you?
Doing all right. Wakanda forever.
Wakanda
And also
forever.
Sakpase.
Sakpase.
Mabule. So I just wanted to say, this is my first time. I'm really
First time
excited.
here? Give it up for us. The first time to the show.
And I met some really cool people. Like, he's like the ambassador here, and I'm loving him. So it's
Excellent.
really great and very helpful.
Always.
Now, in Batman versus Superman, they kind of had a bunch of different story arcs, but one of the ones that I really like is the Injustice Gods Amongst Us kind of story arc.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure if you're familiar with it, but if you were to have armored Superman style and the regime versus Batman and the Resistance, who do you think would join the regime, and who do you think would join the Resistance, and why?
I think Aquaman joins the Resistance, and he got mad sharks.
With lasers on there.
Freaking lasers. Wonder Woman goes with Cal. Barry goes with Bruce. Who's the Lantern? Hal?
Yeah.
Hal goes with Bruce. No, Hal goes with Cal, because Hal and Cal rhyme. Who else? I mean, are we using their Justice League, the current incarnation?
I would say go for any of the Justice League.
God, who else would fucking fight against Superman? Oh, Oliver Queen, of course. He would join the fucking Resistance. I mean, he can't wait to fucking take an arrow, shoot it up Superman's ass.
Where does John Jones go?
Ooh, the Resistance, just to be surprising. He's like, I have no real allegiance. They're all humans, but fuck it, I'll stay with Batman. Life's more interesting with Batman. What about you?
I will second your emotion, sir. Ratified.
Cosign?
Co-signed.
Done and done.
Sealed and delivered.
Excellent question. Give it up for her. She won, ladies and gentlemen. Take some
Yay.
tickets. God, they should do the Injustice movies instead of what they've been doing. Fuck, it's imaginative. It's creative, too. Where you want to go next, JC?
Looks
Two
like we got
left.
one more.
Woo,
Two
to the
left to this fine evening, folks.
To the left.
Then we send you all off into the night. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Hi.
Hey.
Hey. Great to see a fan for since like Clerks and Mallrats, and it's just great to see you doing. I don't even have the words to say it, man.
Thank you.
I have a quick question. With the Disney and Fox deal actually goes through, which I hope it does.
Yes.
Thank you. Which characters would you like to see in a film? A Marvel-controlled film, which characters from Fox mixing with MCU characters? Can you see maybe like the next phase of the Avengers being against Galactus?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Kevin Feige would like nothing but to, that Thanos was a big card for them, but could you imagine if it was Galactus or some world-ending event like that? Who would I like to see? First and foremost, I just want to see them get their house in order. Maybe I'm a nostalgist, but the Marvel Universe doesn't exist without the Fantastic Four. So I have to imagine the architect of the last 10 years of the Marvel Cinematic Universe has plans in store for Marvel's first family and restore them to the fucking dignity, the wonder, the place in history, in comics history that they have. And that's what I look forward to the most. I'm glad he gets to play with the X-Men and stuff, but let's be honest, we've seen some pretty good X-Men movie from time to time and stuff. But we've been waiting for a Fantastic Four movie, a real Fantastic Four movie, for a long time. It's not to take away from any version that's done before. That's
Fan Four Stick?
Which one?
Fan Four Stick, the last Fantastic Four that came out.
Fan Four Stick.
That's how they promoted it. Fan Four Stick.
I mean, even that to me had its merits and stuff. Each one of them had some shit. Even the Corman version had some charm to it when I was a kid. I couldn't believe that existed. I thought their thing did look kind of good. But and the ones they did with Jessica Alba, like they were not fucking horrible. I went to see both of them cinematically and stuff, but they weren't quite what I hoped they would be. The guy who's been making these Marvel movies for the last fucking decade, if he can't solve that equation, I figured, not like this matters and shit, particularly now that I've seen the other side, life and death and shit, but, you know, it's been a long time since we've seen anything close to Fantastic Four, and the only one that ever got close was The Incredibles, which we're about to see The Incredibles 2. It'd be really nice to see Marvel get to do their first family and have people not go, oh, the greatest Fantastic Four movie ever made was not a Fantastic Four movie. It was called The Incredibles. It's a small wish. It's not going to change the world, but it's something that, it just be fitting. As we've seen every one of their huge characters step up and stuff, it'd be nice to see them step up because you don't get anything else at Marvel unless, you know, Stan does the Fantastic Four. So they should, hopefully, they get to do a version that he gets to see.
I would like the Guardians of the Galaxy to get a hot tip on some salvage on asteroid LV-426. I feel like, yeah, like you could have a good fucking time with the alien in the Marvel universe. And I've read enough of those fucking comic books that Dark Horse used to put out when it's like alien and Batman, and so yeah, fuck it. Like let's if you're not gonna do the Brood, or you should just do the Brood, you could also instead do the Xenomorphs and still have a bunch of fucking fun.
That's a hot idea. It's way better than mine. Good for you. Hey, he won some tickets. Give it up for him, ladies and gentlemen. He won some tickets. And we have one more set of tickets, ladies and gentlemen. Who's it going to be, JC? Take us there and then take us home.
All right, here we go.
Take them both, man. Take a friend.
Hi there. Another first timer.
Welcome. Give it up for him. It's
and
a
I know
first timer.
It's been
Hey,
said
you
several
popped your
times.
cherry.
It's been said several times. I'm thrilled, Kevin, that you're here.
Thank you.
Reading the news on my Twitter feed last week made me realize, I love this show. I've been listening to you. I've been listening to Fat Man on Batman since before Mark was. I can remember the first time you were on the show, and then it slowly morphed into what it is now, which is great. But it made me realize, I've been a fan of this stuff for forever, and I work 8 miles from here, and I've never come to the show. And I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm buying tickets, even if I don't know if the show's even going to happen, but I'm going to buy tickets.
That's
and come.
fucking awesome. Give it up for him, and that's fucking wonderful.
And
makes my heart sore.
And it's and you guys say on the show all the time, we live in an amazing time. I mean, I'm 44, grew up reading comic books as a kid, and I say all the time, if you told me 20 years ago that we'd be living in a world where they make serious movies about guys in tights. And that basically the entire industry is run on it, I never would have believed you.
Right.
But with Avengers coming up, I've got 2 boys that are 9 and 10, and we started watching the movies. They kind of came in about midway through the current incarnation. Mm-hmm. After Black Panther, we decided that we're watching all of the movies from the beginning to kind of bone up for Avengers. And we watched, we're up through Captain America, and something that made me realize is these movies, even the first batch of them, have some awesome just moments. And one that struck me was we were watching Thor, which doesn't get remembered very fondly among all of them, but it has
Kenneth Branagh's movie.
The scene in that movie where the hammer comes to Thor because he's finally worthy is just magical to me.
It was a great sequence.
And a question for each of you is, of the run of Marvel movies they've done up through now, what's your favorite kind of just moment that happened on screen that you would never have thought would have actually happened in your lifetime?
Let me see. I mean, it's the Marvel movies. I could probably give you a handful. Guardians of the Galaxy. Peter Quill's mom in the 3rd act when Gamora is like, Peter, give me your hand. And he looks over and he sees his mother going, Peter, give me your hand. It's fucking fantastic. I don't give a fuck. It's a comic book movie. That's one of the greatest moments in cinematic history. It's so fucking powerful and moving. When Tony Stark in the first Iron Man is about to die in his lab, and he almost reaches, the arc reactor that Pepper had framed for him, and he just misses it and fucking goes down, and then the robot gives it to him. Like, I get chills when I fucking think about it. It's so tiny, so stupid, but so well earned. Both of those moments were layered insanely well throughout the film, so that when they happen, they hit, and they kind of hit in a really magical way. Those are two that leap to the top of my head, man. What about you?
When Steve Rogers leaps on a grenade. Like...
Oh God, that's so beautiful! You beat me.
I had to explain that moment. I had to explain the significance of that to my 10-year-old. On Sunday.
Like that is the core of who that character is. That is exactly what makes him tick. Is I'm going to die. I'm going to crawl over a wire so the other guy can crawl on top of me. Like he's that guy, and that moment crystallizes who that character is and why he deserves the power he gets.
That's fantastic storytelling.
Yeah.
God, that's so awesome. Tommy Lee Jones, grenade! And everybody fucking scatters and he jumps onto it and he's like, go! Yeah. Oh, that, and also like in Civil War, when he echoed the sentiment that he was, when he was...
I could do this all day.
Yeah, where he gets up and he's like, I could do this all day. Like, I'm telling you, man, that character really belongs to, what's his name, Chris Evans?
Yeah.
Fucking really, and in a special way. I didn't give a fuck. I've loved comics my whole life. I could give a fuck about Captain America. Never really did much for me. But his portrayal of that character in all three of those movies and in the Avengers flicks, and it's evolved as we've seen like throughout the flicks, is nothing short of wonderful. He really imbued that character with heart. So much so that if you're right and they do fucking wind up killing him in the next Avengers, you're going to feel a fucking deep loss. I know I will. And for that moment alone, the motherfucker that threw himself on the grenade. And if that's how they send him out, like some Thanos version of him throwing himself on the grenade, oh my God. I will promise them the life of my child. For storytelling that good and moving. Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Wow, what a great poll that was.
There's that. There's it's super fucking throwaway in a movie I don't really like, but meow meow.
When she sees the hammer go past.
Mjolnir just flying. Meow meow. It's just super fucking fun and light and silly.
You picked the only good moment in Thor: The Dark World.
See how I did that though? And there's a moment in Thor Ragnarok when Thor and Loki are in an elevator and Loki's like, well, when you're done with this, you'll be done with me. And he's like, but you're my brother. Like when
he has a really wonderful moment where Thor says where he goes, Loki, I thought the world of you.
Yeah, like you were my brother. I thought that we mourned you when you died. Like I wanted nothing more than to be your brother for the rest of my life. But you did all of this horrible shit. But he didn't
even put it like that. It wasn't a judgy way. He was like, but at the end of the day, you're you and I'm me, and there it is. And it's a really beautiful moment when you think about what's likely to happen in Avengers. I don't know. Fucking obviously they're keeping it under wraps, but if Loki doesn't die in this battle, in either part 1 or part 2, then I'll eat my fucking hat, because it seems like there's a thread going through all those movies, and they've kept Tom around for a long time. He's wonderful playing that part, but by the time we got to Ragnarok, you've got the genesis, the seeds of what's clearly going to be a sacrifice.
They've hinted at him dying almost in virtually every
movie. And if they do kill Loki, and he doesn't ask Thor to put up a statue with the big bendy horns, I'll be a little disappointed, but not much. But yeah, I can't imagine they don't take him out. And what great storytelling it is, man. They made me give a fuck about Loki beyond like the funny hat in the comics. Like they built that character into something pretty wonderful.
Yeah, and one more. Like I've spoken about it in the podcast. I've written about it, but the beat in Black Panther, when they're piloting the Royal Talon fighter back into Wakanda, and Okoye is sitting at the helm, and she just turns and she says, "We are home." Like the idea of home is incredibly powerful. The idea of here's where I'm from, here's where my people are from, here's where everything I've ever known belongs and comes from. And watching it as an African American and realizing that the connection to what home is stops for me after a while. Like there's, of course, the house I grew up in. There's the town that I was born in. There's the state I was born in. And then I can trace my parents back a couple of generations to where they were born. And then it gets blurry. It gets fuzzy. It gets, for lack of a better word, slave shippy. And it's...
I don't know that it's a word, but fuck, it's evocative.
You know, and so like there's an entire connection to a place that I don't have. Where like my wife is Irish, and there is absolutely a town somewhere in fucking Ireland that she can follow all the way back there. Like her family came over in the third ship after the Mayflower. She's a daughter of the American Revolution. I am not a daughter of anything. But so just that idea, the mythologizing, the underlining the idea of what home is. And in Wakanda, home has never been broken. The connection to that place has never been fuzzified by history. It's never been erased or it's never been wallpapered over. That it's real for them in a way that it's not for me. And just that beat, that moment, you know, that's when I saw it the third time, that's the one that wrecked me. And that's the one that brought me to tears. Just this idea of, oh shit, why couldn't this be home? And in the absence of any other home, let it be Wakanda. Like, why the hell not? I got no place else to call home, so I'm gonna do Wakanda.
Beautiful answer. Give it up for Mark. And a great question. You get tickets, man. Well done. Pleasure. Hey, let's talk about this before we go real quick.
Yes, sir.
There was a piece that was online the last 2 days. Some marketing imagery or it was in a book, a Marvel book promoting Avengers or whatever. But basically, bless you, it showed all the stones, all the Infinity Stones, and who the stones were connected to. So obviously, the one that's the Mind Gem. They showed Vision. For the Ether, I guess they showed Thor or whatever the fuck.
Right.
That was
the Tesseract was Loki.
Yes, but for the one gem which we haven't seen yet, the one stone in the movie I believe is the Soul Stone, and we all thought it would either show up in Black Panther, which it didn't, and then the other movie, what happened right before that, Thor.
Yeah,
and so
Ragnarok.
it didn't play there as well. So. In this artwork, though, they showed the Soul Stone, and in it, the image connected to it, the character connected to it, was Iron Man.
Huh.
So it caused a bunch of folks on the internet wisely to be like, did they just have to put somebody there, or is that clearly connective tissue? Meaning, they've not told us what the Soul Stone is. It seemed like, oh shit, it was in the heart of the vibranium meteor that hit Wakanda. You could fucking get away with that. But could it be that Tony Stark's arc reactor is somehow the Soul Stone, or the big one that he had? But that blew up. They blew up the arc reactor.
They blew that up in Iron Man, and he doesn't have the arc reactor. Like, he's not wearing it anymore.
I know, but have you seen in the trailer, you see images of the arc reactor back in his chest. I think that's what I saw. So what could it possibly be if it was connected to Iron Man? Like, I like the notion, bless you, like 2 weeks ago somebody said it's a planet. Like
Ego.
Yeah, but I thought it'd be badass if it was just Earth. Earth is the Soul Stone, and that's why he fucking came here and stuff. But what do you think about that? Iron Man, Soul Stone. What would be the connective tissue? What are we missing here?
I mean, unless part of the narrative of Infinity War is something is wrong again with his heart, and the only thing that he can use to keep it at bay is an Infinity Stone. Like, desperate and with no other ideas and out of options, he rigs up another fucking chest miracle involving a Soul Stone.
God damn it. I hate when you make a better movie than I have in my head, and maybe then the one we'll eventually get, man.
But it's also telling because he's in if Cap is the heart of the Avengers, it's tempting to say that Tony is the mind of the Avengers, but I think he's the soul of the Avengers. It's because of him. And so much of it is because of his guilt. And is his, both the Sokovia Accords were because of his guilt. Ultron is because of his guilt. Ultimately, him putting on the fucking suit is because he's guilty, because the dude who helped him get out of that is going to die sacrificing himself to break Tony out of a jail cell. Like, he's been driven by guilt.
Oh my God, can I go back and re-answer that question? That's another one of my favorite moments from Iron Man is when, what was the guy named, a man named Hope, Young Hope. Yeah. He winds up getting shot or whatever, and Tony comes in the Mark I suit, And, you know, he's like, come on, get up, we got to move. And he's like, you know, I can't. And he's like, this is not the plan. And he's like, this was always the plan for me. I'm going to see my family. They're all dead and blah, blah, blah. So Tony realizes he's going to die right there. And he has a really fucking, like, you know, has a zillion choices he could have picked for the delivery of the particular line. But it's Robert Downey Jr., when he says to the actor, when he says to that guy, he goes, thank you for saving my life. Like, it was almost a childlike delivery and so fucking pure. It's another magic moment from that fucking movie that Marvel really knocked out the park. And now in respect to like fucking what I went through last week, like I know that feeling. Like when I talked to the doctor afterwards, I was like, thanks for saving my life. It's crazy. Somebody kind of put themselves in front of you or in harm's way like they did in that movie. This guy didn't have to take any fucking bullets. He just reached up my dick and grabbed my heart and seized it and shit like that.
Kalima!
Yeah, that's right. Holy shit, I hadn't thought of that. It was a little bit more like fucking Temple of Doom and shit than I realized. Ladies and gentlemen of the Scum and Villainy Cantina, have you had a good time this evening? Always a fun show to do, particularly fun to do it at this point, man, you know, based on what happened last time. And, oh my God, thank you all for coming out, selling us out. We'll be doing this as frequently as possible because, as I said many times, I love doing this show. And there is no show without the fucking smartest man that I'm standing next to right now in this room. Give it up for Marc Bernardin, ladies and gentlemen. And that is Fat Man on Batman for this week. I'm Kevin Smith.
And I am Marc Bernardin.
Tune in next week, same fat time, same fat channel, smodcast.com or
youtube.com/Kevin Smith.
Good night, everybody.